which is the third session of the World Islamic Finance Summit this afternoon. It is on product development and innovation. May I please request the presenter and the moderator for the session, Mr. Ahmed Siddiqui, who's the Executive Vice President, Product Development and Sharia Compliance at Meezan Bank Limited. He needs a big round of applause. And can I also request my panelists, Mr. Mohammad Faisal Shaikh, who's the Head of Product and Business Development at BankIslami Pakistan Limited, to join us on stage. Mr. Sadaqat Ullah Khan, who's a Sharia supervisor in the Sharia Supervision and Audit Department at Dubai Islamic Bank. Mr. Beckley, who's the FSS Solutions Leader, GMU at IBM. As they say, Mr. Beckley, one big leap for mankind is just a small jump for you on stage. May I request Mr. Mujeeb Beig, who's the Head Research and Product Development at MCB Bank Limited, to join us on stage. And last but not least, Mr. Salman Rashid, Head of Product Development and Sharia Compliance, Islamic Banking Group, Bank Alfalah Limited. All right, Ahmed Saab, over to you.
Okay. Is it working? Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, as-salatu was-salamu ala rasulil kareem. I welcome you all for the third session of the day, which is about product development and innovation. And I would like to welcome the panelists here. And inshallah, we hope that we would have a very fruitful discussion in the session. We will start with a small presentation about the product development challenges, what has happened in Pakistan, and what is the way forward for us. And then we will come to our expert panel here, and inshallah we'll discuss and we'll take their opinions on how to make this industry to the next level and how to grow Islamic banking and get the share of Islamic banking. And I understand that after lunch sessions are difficult, but I hope that you will enjoy this session and you will have an active participation in the session as well. Can I have the presentation, please? The theme of this session, what we have decided that we will give a small overview of the product development activities that is happening and why we do product development in Islamic Bank, what is the purpose, what is the direction, and what are the current area of research for the product development. And then, as I've discussed, we will come to the panel. The brief outline for my today's presentation is I will discuss the few points here. The strategic direction for Islamic banking, the role of product development for Islamic banks, what are the basic permissibility and prohibition, just to remind ourselves, who are the key stakeholders, how we can fulfill our customers' needs through continuous innovation, what are the major achievement and current research areas for the industry, and now new segment for growth. As in the morning session, Shaikh Taqi said the theme of the conference that we should know our basics. So as a product development expert and product development industry of the section of Islamic banks, we should be very clear that what is the objective of our product development activities. Again, it has to be equitable distribution of wealth, avoid all impermissible transactions. Not only riba is prohibited, but there are transactions like gambling, gharar, uqud fasda, invalid contracts, which are also prohibited. So we have to avoid all these transactions in our product development activities. We have to promote participation based and asset backed financing. So there is no room for artificial financing, just that the Shaikh Taqi also mentioned in his speech, that we cannot just build on artificial financial transactions. It has to be real, participatory or asset backed. Which needs we need to fulfill? All the halal financing need of our customers. So if there is a need that principally conflict with the principle of Sharia, then we as Islamic banking industry is not going after that need. And ensuring Sharia compliance in all and each transactions to have that confidence of the customers in the Islamic banking segment. There are a couple of differences here between Islamic banking transaction and conventional, and most of us are already aware of this. So I'm not going in a very nitty-gritties, but quickly, transactions are asset backed here. There is a social responsibility. We don't go for short selling, sale of debt, speculation, artificial financial engineering, and we have a sanctity for Islamic law of contract. We cannot finance prohibited goods and industries, and ethics and moral values play a key role in Islamic finance. Without ethical, you can't be Islamic. So it is must here, it is not a matter of choice. In today's world, why this is important that we focus on product development? Being a new industry, we have to grow, we have to provide solution to our customers. So we have to focus and synergize our energies on the product development activities. And often it is said, a satisfied customer is a repeat customer. So at this stage of this industry, where we are around 7.5%, we need customers that are satisfied with the Islamic banking experience, so they can come again to us and they can bring their own other colleagues to us as well. I define Islamic product development in a circular, in a definition I give normally: fulfilling halal needs, suggesting means to it, keeping in view the ground realities and Sharia guidelines and business prospects for the future. So this is what Islamic product development is all about. This was a comparison, just I thought it will be worth sharing with the audience. What is a new product? Again, it is said it is only 10% is new to the world or first of its kind, 20% are the new product line, 26% is addition in the existing line. Then there is improvement, sometimes it's repositioning, and sometimes cost reduction. So product development encompasses all these aspects of banking. And another thing that we need to be aware of, why the product fails. That your market survey or need analysis was not proper. These are the top most cited reasons. Your test marketing was not proper, your sampling was not there, your target market was not correct, your product launch was not effective, your business modeling was flawed. And for us as Islamic banking industry, if the Sharia compliance level and the Sharia compliance perception of the product is not good, so no matter how well it is designed, how well it is tested, it will not be successful if it has a wrong or excessive baggage with it. So we need to be aware of this, that whenever we develop products, we have to see that it is in the compliant zone and it is perceived by the customer as a compliant product. These are the few deciding factors. You do market survey, you select the mode, then you implement it. You have the cash flow analysis, you do the risk measurement, mitigation measures. You check the legal matters as well as the regulatory aspects. So what we have to offer as Islamic bank? I think first and foremost, no compromise on Sharia compliance. That should be our main motto, and we should focus, we should all agree on this, and we all, alhamdulillah, agree on this point that if we are not Sharia compliant, then that product is worthless for Islamic bank. Product to fit all types of halal customer need. We have talked about ease of use. Definitely, if a product is easy to use, it will be successful in the market and it will be adopted by the customers. Innovative, it should give some value to the customer, a halal return for investment, halal and riba-free business solution for the businesses, and also we need to create awareness about what we have in the product line. This is a process that typically Islamic bank follow when it goes for product development, and you can see that there is continuous checks and reviews about the product being Sharia compliant. So we have to have these checks at every level of our product development process, and also we need to continuously work for improvement and refinement, because no product development activity ends anywhere. It is a continuous process of improvement. So we need to learn from our mistakes and we need to improve from them. Again, the main sources for us, we all know Quran, Sunnah, Ijma and Qiyas, and we need to avoid riba, we need to avoid gharar, we need to avoid mesr, and all sort of transactions that are impermissible. We have seen this diagram many times, that the main difference when we describe Islamic banking and conventional, we say we are not money lender, but when the Quran says وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا, so the Quran provides us the solution that you are a trader. So Islamic banks are like trade house, investment house. So therefore our product development activities also need that mindset that we as Islamic banker think ourselves like a trader, like a person who is in the market and who is dealing in the real assets and commodities. These are the key stakeholders: the customers, product development department, obviously the business units, the legal, the top management, Sharia advisor, and everyone has to work together to make this industry and this product successful. Now, we also have very useful resources available to us. IOF Sharia board is there, IOF Sharia guidelines are there, the fatwas of other Sharia boards are also available, and we also need to have focus groups and research, and such conference like this, they provide us platform for discussion to brainstorm and to come up with new ideas. Alhamdulillah, in Pakistan, what we have seen in the last 10 years or 12 years, that a wide range of product menu has been developed. And it is now said that Islamic banking industry cater up to around 90% of the customers' need in a Sharia compliant manner. And the remaining or rest 10-12% will be under the process of research, and inshallah we'll see very soon that we are coming up with the solution for those 10-12% remaining as well. So we can see we have a list of products for corporate financing, consumer financing, investments, interbank solutions have been developed. So alhamdulillah, a lot of work has been done, and now we need to move to the next level. Again, a thing that come to mind when we develop product, that we need to focus on the need of the customer, and we need to focus on the business cycle and the business process. This is repeatedly said that if you are giving a solution to your customer just by looking on the credit type or credit parameters of security, you are likely to fail in Islamic banking. Unless you work with the customer, you sit with the customer and you study his purchasing cycle, his buying cycle, his selling cycle, you are not providing an effective customized solution to your customer. So after looking at all these parameters, what a product developer do, or what Islamic bank do, that they see the need, they select the right solution, they customize the right solution, and then they apply that right solution to the need of that customer to provide a halal financing solution. Again, sometimes it is repeatedly we hear these comments that there is no difference in, it is just paperwork. Again, taking the lead from today's session in the morning, there is a lot of difference. One of my colleagues mentioned earlier that in conventional banking and Islamic banking are different by birth. And I said, how? He said, you see the article and memorandum of association. The very purpose of both organizations are different. So we are different by birth. So there are people may perceive commonalities, but there are a lot of differences. And you have to have the right intention when you are applying a product. You have to follow the right sequence of steps and the right timings. Then you can implement a product in a compliant manner. Alhamdulillah, the industry have developed many solutions for short-term financing. We can see a list of solutions for raw material, overhead, finished goods, trade financing, rental financing. Long-term solutions are there: acquisition, replacement, expansion of fixed assets, new projects, securitizations. They are all there now and they are practiced in the industry. For trade financing needs, LCs, forward covers, in a halal way of an Islamic way of hedging, shipping guarantees, they are all available. But in consumer financing, car financing, housing, consumer durable, now Hajj and Umrah financing and service financing products are available. So a lot of work has been done, and alhamdulillah, this industry is offering solutions to a lot of customers. Key achievement, if I would like to present, is alhamdulillah, a lot of achievement has been done, but I have selected few just to show what is the current level of Islamic banking. Islamic Export Refinance Scheme was developed with the State Bank of Pakistan, which is the first Musharaka-based scheme with any central bank. Issuance of Musharaka-based term finance certificates for corporates, helping consumer to get their house, car, consumer durables on Islamic modes, helping small savers and investors to invest in a Sharia compliant manner. The focus is on real trade and business. If you see a balance sheet of Islamic bank, you will find that we are traders, we are trading house. You can find inventories on our balance sheets. You can find assets that are available that are given on rent on our balance sheet. That shows that we are actively involved in the process. Either we are a supplier or sometimes we are a customer, or we are a trade partner. Interbank products have been developed by Islamic banks to manage their short-term liquidity on the basis of musharaka and mudarba. IOFI Sharia standards have been adopted by Pakistan. 4 major standards have been adopted, which is again a breakthrough. Several long-term sukuk have been issued in the government sector. The last one was around 160 billion for Jinnah terminal. Issuance of private sector sukuk for corporate and project financing, which are based on ijara and diminishing musharaka. Recently, we have seen issuance of short-term musharaka, real musharaka or shirkatul aqd based sukuk for power sector. And now the industry is also focusing on allied needs of the target market, like focusing on the religious need by providing facilitation for Hajj and Umrah. Current research area for the industry, and where the industry players are working together, is to develop Islamic discount window at central bank, Islamic long-term export finance facility for the exporters, again with the central bank, Islamic benchmark, which we call IBR, it's again in the research. Baysalam for farmers. In the morning session, someone mentioned that the government of Punjab has passed a bill where they want to minimize the role of the middleman and to provide financing to the farmers on the basis of Baysalam. It will be a very, you can say, innovative project, and it has the benefits that will reach to a poor farmer if the project is correctly implemented. Currently, we are discussing alternative for short-term sukuks. New musharaka-based transactions are being explored, and just to share a news that my colleague in the last panel said that we need running musharaka type of products. These products are now have been implemented in Pakistan, and we have seen a transaction of 500 million for running musharaka. So we have running musharaka available. The industry is offering to its clients, and the clients are using it. Islamic microfinancing products are being developed. So there's a lot of work in the pipeline, and you will see very soon the results coming and helping the industry to go to the next level. New segment that we need to work out is public sector financing project, agriculture financing, microfinancing, and branchless and mobile banking based using the technology to take the reach of Islamic banking to every corner of this country. The way forward is very simple. This is a workable solution. It's an ethically and economically better way of banking, and its objectives are in line with the objective of Islamic economics, and we all need to work together to make this successful. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation, and I will come to the panelists here, and I will ask Mr. Faisal Shaikh, who is representing BankIslami, to give us an idea of the direction of product development in the country. Faisal, over to you.
As far as the question that Ahmed has put to me, I think there are two sides of this question. One is a very bright picture, as Ahmed said, and rightly said, that right now, alhamdulillah, after 10 years, almost 10 years of Islamic commercial banking, we are now able to provide almost all kinds of services to our corporate and consumer clients. We have got products for majority of the needs of the corporate customers. If the need is halal, if the business is halal, and if the need is genuine, we have got a product. There is no way someone can say that Islamic banking is not providing a particular product to a particular company. And I think right now we are providing complete solutions to all kind of corporate customers. I mean, there was a time when people used to get some services from Islamic banks and other services from conventional banks. But right now, alhamdulillah, we are able to provide complete services to our customer. But the other side of the picture is not very bright, in fact. I think when I see the bright side, I feel very satisfied. But when I see the other side, I become upset, because sometimes I feel that we are, as a product developer, and I am myself included in that list, that we focus more on providing alternate to the conventional banking products. And I think that's the need right now, because most of the customer wants us alternate to the conventional banking products. But as a product developer, sometimes I feel that I will be more satisfied if I can provide something innovative to my customer, and use the Islamic banking product to really mobilize the customer for the benefit of the business. And this side sometimes makes me upset, and I feel that inshallah as the industry grows, because right now, till today, only obviously the Meezan bank is the most strongest bank in the industry, and others are newcomers, in fact. So as the industry grows, as the other banks becomes a more fluent player in the market, these products will flow in, inshallah. And if the customer demands is there, I think, inshallah, we'll be able to provide some services in this regard.
Thank you, Faisal. Now, taking lead from your response, I would like to ask Mr. Mujeeb Beig, who is again SVP and Head of Product Development at MCB, that there is a discussion in the Islamic financial product market, that industry, that our product needs to be more Sharia based. Can you elaborate what is going on?
Thank you, Ahmed. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Basically, this is generally accepted opinion of the general people that only Shirkatul Aqd based Musharaka and Mudariba are the true Sharia compliant or the more Sharia based products which should be developed by the Islamic banking institutions. No doubt this is a correct statement, and as Mr. Ahmed has already said, that Islamic banking institutions have alhamdulillah developed Shirkatul Aqd based Musharaka products, but the time suits to launch, market and practice these products is awaited, because if you see the ADR of the overall banking sector in Pakistan today, it is not more than 50%. It means that not only the Islamic banking institutions, but the conventional ones as well, they have limited, they have been conservative while executing financing to all sectors of the industry. And as you have seen that there is a depressed economy in Pakistan nowadays, so the risky products like Shirkatul Aqd based Musharaka and Mudariba cannot be across the board launched by any single banking institution in Pakistan. The reason being, there must be proper risk mitigation, there must be proper legal coverage to avoid the risk of loss of the capital of the Islamic banking institutions. As Mr. Irfan Siddiqui rightly said in the morning session, that banking is a highly leveraged business, and we have up to 92% of our total finance generated through deposits. So we have to make sure that all our products launched and practiced should be well risk mitigated, and our depositors' interests should be safeguarded by the Islamic banking institutions. So we have to wait for the suitable time to launch across the board Shirkatul Aqd based Musharaka and Mudariba. But as Mr. Ahmed has already said, that there are certain customers which have been choosing to market these products, and some of the Islamic banking institutions have already practiced. And I can share you a good news that you can see in the foreseeable future another Shirkatul Aqd based Musharaka product for the trade finance business in Pakistan. On the other hand, if we see that whether other modes of finance like debt-based Murabaha and semi-equity-based Ijara, we have seen that standardization has been taking place, and effective from 1st July 2010, since State Bank of Pakistan has already implemented as a law of the land 4 of the AOF Sharia standards. So now in Pakistan, every Islamic banking institution has to apply the Sharia standard in the letter spirit as they have been issued by the AOF Sharia Supervisory Board. So less preferred modes like Murabaha, now it has been practiced by all the Islamic banking institutions in the same standard as has been issued by the Sharia Supervisory Board of AOF.
Thank you, Mujeeb sir. Just adding to your thing, I would like to ask Mr. Salman Rashid that Mujeeb sir mentioned that Musharaka, yes, it has to come, and Murabaha and debt-based instrument, they may be, it is perceived that they should be in lower percentage. But you see, the short-term need of the business is not that they want you to become the partner. If a company needs a raw material for just 6 months, so is it not fair to continue with these instruments and then also do research for musharaka?
I think I would agree with what you are saying. Clearly, with the history of just 10 years and the capital base that we have built up in 10 years, it may not be prudent to take a leap of faith and go with a stark business initiative where the risks are potentially very high. There has to be a combination. And I think there is a middle path, and in fact Mujeeb Sahab has exactly hit on that. He's brought me to the point which I actually wanted to talk about. I think we can, without going into the negative aspects of a certain element, we can learn from that element. In the West, the capital markets are developed to a great extent. Of course, there is abuse there in certain ways. But there are two products there. One is private equity and one is venture capital. And those two products are very close to the Islamic precepts and the Islamic, I would say, spirit of financing. And rather than us converting and convincing our customers to join us in a venture, we should go out to those enterprises which are short of funds, which are looking for a partner, and who would be willing to take us on board on Islamic terms. And there are many businesses who would like to do that. It is possible that they may not have a history of business, but then that is left to our expertise to see whether that model will work or not. So the entrepreneurial skills of Islamic banks would also come out in that. The other advantage of that would be that once you are into that area, then obviously and naturally your rates of returns would increase, albeit it will be a very small portion of your total portfolio. And against that portfolio, you can then market a product to the general public. So again, you will be reducing your exposure. You will be getting a higher publicity exposure by turning up a return of 20–25% on a project. And while the incident of risk may be high and there may be incidents of losses also, but with prudent investment you can do that. And that is a path which I think the Islamic banks need to take. And it will be a great publicity thing, also an advancement for Islamic Bank.
Yes, I think maybe we can agree that maybe at this point in time we need to be very careful and not just jumping to one mode or another, but we need to explore and then gradually see what. Mr. Faisal has a commitment, so I just take the advantage of his presence. I will ask a short question from him and then we can come to the panelists. Mr. Faisal, could you tell us what areas we must explore to achieve that growth, and what are the potential areas for us as Islamic Bank?
I think being as the product developers and the corporate sector which has been using Islamic banking product for the last 10 years, I think it's now time to unleash the real force, real power behind the Islamic modes of finance. Quote an example, it's an hypothetical example obviously, but I see many mobile companies has got advertisement budget which is running into millions. If they can somehow tap Islamic banking product of musharaka, somehow, I'm not saying that we can have a pure profit and loss sharing model, but we can have some innovation in that, and we can involve these mobile companies into a musharaka, probably a sukuk, musharaka sukuk, whereby we can involve general public in their sales. I mean, the more the profit the company earns, the more the sukuk subscriber will get, and this can revolutionize their sales. I mean, if they want to hire, for example, 100 salesmen, they'll have to pay them. But if they sell sukuks to 100 people, they'll get free salesmen of 100 persons who can market their product, in the sense that as the sales of that mobile company increases, their profit increases. Similarly, food companies like, for example, Nestle, Angro Foods can have this kind of sukuks where they can involve general public in their sales and say them that, look, if we earn more, you'll get more. And this was actually done when Musharka TFC was done by Meezan Bank in 2002. But the problem with Sitara was that Sitara was in industrial products. And their sales went, I mean, probably it broke all the records, but obviously it was not in general public. Because, you know, as an Islamic banker, we believe in faith. So there's a power of dua is there. When a customer subscribes to a sukuk, and if he knows that if the profit of the company increases, his share of profit also increases. And for that matter, the profit at that time, Sitara was paying 3% on Murabaha and 21% on the sukuk.
So you're talking about, again, involving customer and again doing musharka sort of thing with the customer.
Probably, I'm not saying that there could be a pure profit and loss sharing, but I am saying that there is some kind of a probably niche market or a probably a part of a business which can be securitized in a way that make people involved in the business. For example, the government of Pakistan. Right now, the government of Pakistan, probably there are many other issues as well, but the people of Pakistan are not involved in the development of the country. For example, if there is a new project, if there is a new dam is being built, or a new road, or a new highway, people of that area can be involved through issuance of sukuk. I mean, you give them ownership of that highway, and I'll guarantee that there'll not be a single person who can dig a hole in that highway or can lay pipeline in that.
Thank you, Faisal. Taking your use and suggesting a mobile company, I come to Neil that now we are talking about using technology to make Islamic finance to the next level. So what your say about it? And there are areas like branchless banking, mobile banking, they all require technology support. So are we ready?
Well, I think first of all, I don't understand.
It's not on?
That's better.
Yeah.
I'm not quite convinced of the rush to innovate. You know, if we think about, as our colleague was saying, what's happened to conventional banking in the last 10 years or so, you've had a very crowded market, it's a very competitive market, and there has been this pressure to seek new sources of revenue, and as a consequence, we've probably embarked into some risky areas that, with retrospect, we probably wouldn't have done if we'd have known the consequences. And I think it's, you know, as a prudent banker, I started my career with the Bank of England as a central banker, so we're very risk averse. But obviously, nobody embarks on a product innovation journey and expecting there to be zero risk, otherwise there wouldn't be anything in it. On the other hand, to be very much aware of what we're embarking on and of all of the consequences is the most important thing. I think my view is that you've got a market undoubtedly that's expanding rapidly by natural, let's say, natural forces. The attractiveness of Islamic banking is growing worldwide, not only in Pakistan. There will be more players coming into the market, and certainly the international players, etc. But my focus would be, while you've got that market coming to you, there's a natural movement towards Islamic banking. Just be more efficient with what you're doing now. You know, optimize everything you're doing now before you start embarking on potentially riskier, or let's say more risk and less understood activities and products.
I think that's a good point, that we need to be efficient and effective on what we are currently doing. And I'm sure that technology has a lot to support Islamic banks.
Yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate enough as IBM to work with a couple of, let's say, newly started Islamic banks in the Middle East. And you're coming into, say, into the UAE market, which is pretty well served by Islamic banks, including my, you know, the oldest sitting here on my right. Right? Yeah. So you've got to be different. What, you know, a new Islamic bank coming into a competitive market, you've got to have a value proposition, and you know, you've got to be a USP. So, and generally speaking, people are focusing on optimizing what they do already.
Thank you, Neil. Now coming to DIB, Mr. Sadaqatullah is here. He has an experience in the Sharia audit and supervision. So I would like to ask that we talk about Islamic banking, we say the product has to be Sharia compliant. So why it is necessary to have a very high level of that Sharia compliance for the industry?
Assalamu alaikum. Before giving to respond to your question, I would like to add something for the product related issue. I observed in the Pakistan that there is no product which is providing cash, upfront cash to the consumers. Yeah. And most of the people who needs cash immediately in order to meet their internal requirements, domestic needs, they have to go towards conventional banks. So in the United Arab Emirates, almost all banks have introduced cash financing product which is based on the salam, means upfront cash payment against future delivery of the goods. So I think this area is also potential area,
and
which
I think product developers here and the team here, we need to think on it that if the customer is going to the conventional sector just because we don't have the product, then we should work out some solution just to with ensuring the Sharia compliance as well.
Yeah, this product. See, this product is important in order to save people from going towards conventional banking. So one side, you will be saving the people from going towards conventional banking, taking the loans on interest, and secondly, you will be increasing your product level and financing level.
Yes, we have to discuss and explore this avenue.
Yes, this you can note for further discussion. Regarding Sharia compliance level, as you also explained in your slide, that no compromise on Sharia compliance. So this slogan is from all Sharia scholars, all Islamic banks, and even from the management also. This slogan is being issued. Mostly, what is the importance? There are certain areas which indicate the importance level. First of all, we all are somehow responsible before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, it is imperative and obligation on us to ensure Sharia compliance level in all the transactions being executed by the Islamic financial institutions. So those transactions should be carried out as per the fatwa and issued by the respective Sharia boards, and compliance level is, of course, is needed. For another reason, why it is required to maintain high level of Sharia compliance, that it is required to comply with the article of association of the bank and the directives of your central bank, state bank,
so yes, we agree that as a professional, as an ethical responsibility, as a purpose of that entity, you have to be Sharia compliant.
Yeah,
now,
you have to be Sharia.
Thank you, Sadaqat sahab. We'll come to you in a short while. Mujeeb sahab, I would like to ask you what hurdles that we face, as you face as a product developer. Are there regulatory hurdles or there hurdles from the mindset to change to new products? What are the hurdles that you face when we develop product for Islamic banks?
Basically, when we try to develop certain unique products like you have said, running finance musharaka, so you will have to first satisfy your management that the risk will be, inshallah, properly mitigated in this product. You will have to satisfy the lawyers, the internal and the external as well, that what you have suggested as a product developer, the provisions of the legal documentation will be suitable to mitigate the risk of the loss of the capital to the Islamic banking institution. These are the initial stages where you have to satisfy your management that whatever innovative product you have developed is basically enough capable to launch and market, and that the Islamic banking institution will not be hurt, the profitability will not be hurt, and that if there are certain losses, then the suitable provisions in the product launch period has been provided and that the future profits from the product will be suitably enough to compensate the future losses from that product. Once you satisfy your management, the legal advisors, then you have to convince the people, the general public, if you are launching a product on the liability side, and the corporate and commercial banking customers.
Is there any regulatory challenge specifically?
Then you have to satisfy them that the needs of the customers will be satisfied with this product. Like for example, running finance musharaka. Then you will have to satisfy them that whatever running finance or the cash finance you are taking from the conventional banks, then this product will satisfy your needs. Let me just conclude the first question which you have asked, that we have to make a very good combination of musharaka, mudariba, murabaha, salam, istasna, ijara, that the suitable combination of all these products will inshallah suffice the purpose. We will have to satisfy the needs of the customers, and then we have to go, we have to visit the customers, and then we have to analyze the need of the customer, and then to give the product to the customer.
Thank you, Mujeeb. Sadaqat sir, could you highlight, when we develop a new product, very briefly, what controls of Sharia compliance we need to have?
See, basically, whenever you are launching a new product, fatwa is issued by the Sharia board, and normally there are no issues in issuing fatwa because the board of scholars is sitting, and after deliberation, due deliberation, they are introducing a new product. But when this fatwa is issued and provided to the business unit and operation and all other
there come the real
stakeholders, the execution issue comes. Many times I discuss with certain prominent Sharia scholars. They are of the view that always issue is in the execution of our fatwa.
Yeah.
Which means how transactions are being executed by the operation and by the business heads, by the business unit and RM, sometimes front office, they are not properly able to communicate with the customer. The main Sharia compliance.
What you do have Sharia audits, so what should we do?
So what I suggest to, we should always, while issuing a new fatwa and product implementation, be sure a new fatwa and product implementation, be sure product implementation, there should be a document which should contain all execution requirement, which makes a transaction as fully Sharia compliant. So there should be no confusion among the people who are working.
So you are for building controls from day one. Taking lead from your thing, I will come to Neil, that you see the difference in Islamic financial transaction, it is process intensive. You monitor each step of the process. Yeah. And as a student of technology, I also know, and we have discussed that yes, this technology is has that enabling, that efficiency of monitoring the processes and workflows. So I have two questions for you. One, very briefly, do you think that this process and based financing of Islamic banks, we can very effectively capture it in the current level of this banking softwares? Because philosophically, banking softwares, they go for a conventional banking software just talk about lending money. Here we say you lend money, you buy material, you store material, you sell material. So you see that. So do you think one, is the technology ready for us to help us to monitor that processes? Secondly, the current level of softwares, do they have that capability?
No, I think as a flippant answer, if you just hang on to my presentation in about 10 minutes' time, I'll address that with an example. But more seriously, no, from a technology perspective, conventional banking, system suppliers or application providers have been around for 20, 30 years or more. There hasn't been to date a real, let's say, market demand from, to encourage application providers to write from scratch an Islamic banking, core banking product. And as to my knowledge, that is still the case now. There isn't really a core banking vendor out there. So it does create challenges. Then I think, you know, when I was shuddering to hear my colleague on my left was talking about one of the products before, which is really a combination of, I listened to probably 4 or 5 individual products where we link them together, whatever, you know, and in some form or other that becomes the end product to the customer. You know, in investment banking we have trouble listing, or let's say linking, customer transactions with hedging. So now you don't have conventional applications to support your core banking business, and you're now trying to link 4 or 5 different transactions together to get an overall exposure. This is getting pretty complicated. You know,
so
now
we look forward for your presentation.
Back to the back to your first question is, now certainly what we see a trend towards is moving the finance origination process, when I put these products as finance products, out of the core banking system. So that whole credit review process, the workflow and the business process management that's associated with it is 100% tied to the documentation trail. Because obviously Islamic banking can be very document-centric, and we now have the ability to link those two. And then finally, when it comes to general ledger, etc., then the underlying transactions can be booked. But I believe, in short, we're now there.
Yeah. So just to end up the session, I would like Mr. Salman, Rashid to just briefly sum up, and then we can move on with the session.
Well, basically what we have heard here is that we have multiple choices. Excuse me. We have choices. The focus is essentially on being Sharia compliant, which is the most essential thing. And in addition to that, we are looking for product diversification. We have already developed products which sort of mirror or meet the needs of customers as they used to when they were banking with conventional bank. There are a few gaps, and hopefully they will be covered with time. And with time, we will also be getting system support. And I'm sure as the market grows bigger, you know, then institutions like IBM, FSS, they would be interested in coming to Pakistan and you know, developing their developing software for Islamic products. So all in all, it looks that, you know, we are on our way to a more comfortable environment, both product-wise and process-wise, Sharia compliant-wise. I think the real challenge is perhaps not so tangible. The real challenge is the battle of the minds, and that is where we have to prove ourselves and convince the customer that A, we are Islamic, and B, that if we are Islamic, then perhaps there should be an added premium to that, because the basis of Islamic financing is such that there should be a greater reward for the customer. I think that is the next wall that we have to surmount.
Maybe you like to add a few words, just because we have to wrap.
Previous discussion, that proper and regular Sharia training of all the staff who are involved in that day-to-day transaction is very important.
Yeah.
Be it operations or risk management, or from front line staff, because normally people meet with the front line staff and they ask questions about the Islamic banking and the transaction and way of taking the finance or putting deposit. If they are unaware about the whole Sharia process, how they will explain?
That's true.
So it is very important that regular training should be carried out for the staffs who are involved in the transaction processing.
Thank you. And I think with these words, we come to the end of this panel discussion. We hope that we have a very interactive and fruitful discussion. And just to the last word, that it's a continuous process of learning and improving. And alhamdulillah, Islamic banks, the Islamic banking industry, what we see is there's keenness to develop new solutions, the keenness to diversify, keenness to innovate. And with these words, I would like to thank you all and the panelists here for being with us for this session. Thank you very much, and
Ahmed,
I would like to conclude here. Thank you.
Come on, they deserve a much louder volume of applause from you. I'd like to thank all of the panelists and also I've interacted with you once before, and always a pleasure to see how you control the conversation also. May I please request
we have one question here.
One question? I seem to always do this.
Ahmed, it's regarding the development product. It was the first Islamic product that was developed was participation term certificates way back in bankers' equity, whereas loss was being shared with the bank.
Okay.
When they were put into practice, the banks suddenly realized that we are ending in a loss, and those were taken away and they were replaced by TFCs. So were these PTCs were Sharia compliant, and why they were withdrawn, and what do the Islamic banking products now share in losses, or they ensure that the capital is safe?
No, the term finance certificate that we have talked about,
that was profit participation certificates.
You see, I would like to quickly answer this, that what we have seen that TFCs and PTFCs were there for quite some time, but fortunately or unfortunately, there was no mechanism for ensuring the Sharia compliance at that time. It was, there was no supervision system. But now what in Islamic banking industry at this stage, whenever we develop any new TFC or Musharaka certificate or Musharaka Sukuk, there is a mandatory requirement to get a clearance from the Sharia advisors. And if it's a Musharaka based certificate, then it goes without saying that it has to be a loss and profit and loss sharing mechanism, and you cannot guarantee the principle, because then it defeats the whole concept and whole purpose of that certificate. And do we have time for questions?
Just perhaps one last question.
Assalamu alaikum ji, this is Shahzad from Pak Qatar General Takaful. I have been a student for Islamic finance for last 4 months, so
yes.
Not much experience. But I'd just like to know, what are do you, as product development and Sharia compliance, do you recommend any marketing tactics to your teams? Because at the front end, when I just know Islamic finance for 4 months. Mm-hmm. Before that, amount of people came to me, they were not able to convince me. And that is the case with most of the people not sitting here, but outside other industries. So do you recommend any, do you take, there are researchers who post-launch scenarios mein aap log koi recommend karte ho, ya do you provide any recommendation to your marketing teams? So
I'm not getting the question. Sorry, I'm not getting you. You're asking about, do you provide
post-launch surveys aap log conduct karte hai with your sales teams?
Yeah, Mujeeb sir, would you like to add? After the product launch, what we do to ensure that yes, the feedback is correct and the perception of the market?
Yeah, there are three processes through which it is make sure that the product Sharia compliance is according to the satisfaction to the Sharia advisor. Number one, the Sharia advisor visits or he delegates the powers to certain persons to whom he trusts, that the Sharia, whatever Sharia pronouncement or Sharia fatwas he has issued, the branch operations staff is acting upon upon the Sharia pronouncement in the letter and spirit. Number one. Number two, there are Sharia compliance officers who make sure that the AOFI, 4 AOFI Sharia standards, which have been now taught by the Sharia advisor to the Sharia compliance officers. So what they do, that by provision, they check that whether all 4 Sharia standards have been implemented by the branch staff.
And just to add on this, there's a practice of doing mystery shopping and mystery surveys. So that is always there to judge and see that the staff is properly trained or not. And our Sharia audit also sometimes go and take interviews from the staff to see what is the understanding, and we also go to the customers and have their feedbacks. So yes, this is a continuous process, and the key benefit as an Islamic bank is that there is a Sharia advisor always there, and a customer can always go with, to the Sharia advisor in case he has any complaint or any issue about the Sharia compliance. With these words, I would like to thank you all. We are short of time, but otherwise I would love to take questions.
Excuse me.
We can have question answers after the maybe after the session and maybe on the sidelines.